Welcome back to my channel, Bring Peace into Your Life. Today I would like to talk about the fact that asking for help is not a weakness. Many people that I work with really feel that asking for help shows that they're weak, shows that they're incapable, and they find it very difficult to reach out even to people who are very close to them. And when I speak to them, quite often it's the first time that they've actually expressed how they're feeling to anybody. And when I am doing like an assessment with someone, I'm talking to someone, I'm saying to them, who have you got in your life that supports you? And quite often they do have people in their lives. Sometimes people don't, but some people do have people in their lives, but they don't want to talk to that person. Or what quite often the word I hear a lot is burden. I don't want to burden that person. They're going through their own stuff, they've got their own family, they've got their own issues going on. And that means that a lot of people are very isolated. So what happens is they do not ask for help, they isolate themselves, they feel that they have to deal with things alone. And that can be really difficult for someone, because if you're already struggling and then you're isolating yourself and you're not keeping those connections up that could help you and could support you, it is a very difficult time for that person. But what I would say is asking for help and support is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And I do talk to my clients about this and talk to the people I work with, because when someone gets into their head that it's a weakness to ask for support, or they don't want to burden anyone, or they don't want to impose, or they don't want to intrude, it then makes them very isolated and alone. And when you are struggling and things are difficult, if you feel alone, it really magnifies it. It just intensifies the feelings when you're already struggling. So say you're anxious, you're worried about things, and you don't say these things out loud and you don't talk about it. What happens is the anxiety, and especially like the negative thoughts and the intrusive thoughts and the catastrophizing, really magnifies, because you're not saying it out loud, you're keeping everything in, and it's all internal. And what happens is that really kicks in all the neurological stuff about pathways and about building this fight or flight system in your body and in your psychology. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the anxiety gets bigger. And what happens is you keep going over things, there's lots of intrusive thoughts, it's very difficult to switch off, and all these thoughts are just running through your head all the time. And I work with many people who have anxiety and depression and lots of different situations going on. But what I find a common theme is that people don't open up. They don't say these things out loud. And quite often when they get to me and they get to the support that I'm offering, it's got to a point where it's really unmanageable and people are getting to the point where they're burning out. And what happens is the more that they do that, and then the more they get themselves into that position and let themselves be in that position, the more difficult it is. And when you do hit burnout, it's then more difficult to actually help yourself, because you're already at a point where you're so depleted. All your energy is going into overthinking, of worrying, of catastrophizing, and your energy is so depleted that it's very difficult to then do stuff that would help you. And I find that when I talk to people who are at that point, we talk about, what do you do to take care of yourself? What's your self-care? And quite often the people will have self-care things that they do, but what happens is, because they're so depleted and burnt out, they can't actually do that. They can't use these things. They don't feel like they have any energy even to do the things that would normally make them happy, that would normally put them in a good mood, that would normally help them cope with everything. And that's quite difficult, because then what happens is, because you're burnt out, you lose your ability to take care of yourself. So what I would say is, when things are difficult, the more you take care of yourself along the way, the more you have self-care practices that help you reduce your anxiety, that help you be happy, have fun, have a laugh, really connect with other people. It's really important. So when you have all these things in place and you have the kind of toolkit of ways to take care of yourself, what happens is you use them on a regular basis, and that then reduces the anxiety level and it reduces the worry. And when you can reduce your anxiety level and bring yourself out of that spiral of fight or flight, it's a lot more helpful. And the way you do that is putting things in place for yourself, but the way you do that is also asking for support. So saying to your friend or a family member, I'm actually really struggling, I'm feeling really stressed, or I'm finding things really difficult, or I need help with something. So it might be you need help with childcare, it might be you need help tidying your house. There's a lot of different things that you might need help with. But if you can ask for that help and reach out, it's really helpful. So a lot of people, when I work with them, they really struggle with that because they feel that they're burdening someone. And what I quite often say to my clients is, what if someone close to you came to you and said that they had been struggling, but they hadn't asked for any help? So say your best friend or a family member, a sister, brother, whoever it is, comes to you and says, oh, I'm doing a lot better, but I was really struggling a couple of months ago. I was really finding things very difficult, very overwhelming, and I was really struggling to cope. If someone said that to you, what would your reaction would be? What would your reaction be? So it might be that you'd be angry that they didn't come to you. It might be that you would be sad that they didn't come to you. Why couldn't they come to you? Because you could have helped and you would have wanted to help. And when I speak to clients like that and I speak to people that I work with, you can hear it in their voice. They think, actually, I would be really upset. I'd be thinking, why didn't Emma feel that she could come to me, or why didn't they feel that they could come to me and speak and ask for help? Because I would be there for them. And when the reason I do talk to clients like that is because when you're in it and when you're struggling, you find you lack perspective. You lack the ability to step back and see the situation as it is. And what happens is you want to muddle through, don't want to burden anybody, you don't want to add to their situation. But actually, people in our lives want to support us and help us, just like we want to support and help people in our lives. So it's a two-way street, isn't it? Friendship, family, it's a two-way street. And if you know that if you were one of your friends was feeling the way you are, or one of your family members was feeling the way you are, you would want to be there for them, you would support them, you would help them, you would do what you could to help them get out of that headspace. So if you can think in that way and think about people in your life that are close to you, that you can share the burden with, it's really helpful because people are there and they want to help. So what I would say is, when you don't ask for help, when you don't reach out and you don't talk about how you're feeling, it just internalises everything. And what happens is you then actively isolate yourself, not necessarily on purpose, but you actively isolate yourself. And when you isolate yourself, it's then difficult to get the support that you need. So what I would say is that when you are struggling with asking for help, it's about thinking, if someone in my life was struggling like I was, would I want to help them? Would I be there for them? And if the answer is yes, then reach out. Reach out for support. Talk to friends and family. Talk to professionals if you have to. If you have to look at some counselling. If you have to look at different types of therapeutic support, then look at that. But the big issue is reach out, ask for support, ask for help, and get the support you need. Because if you're in a place where you're overwhelmed, you're burnt out, and you need help and you need support to get back to a more balanced place psychologically and emotionally, then if you reach out for help, the help will be there and people will support you and help you just like you would for someone else. So if you've got anything from this video and you have suggestions for getting help or where you can access help or things that have helped you in the past, then please put them in the comments and somebody may read that and get a lot of help out of it. And that will build the community. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. And Please like and share this video if you think someone else that you know would get some benefit out of it. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.